Hello, my name is Ellen Susan Viatorek, and this presentation discusses the broad-scale threat analysis in partnership with the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy, ARC. Thank you for giving me your time today to hear how the findings of this research can improve the knowledge about the priority amphibian and reptile conservation areas, PRCAs. My project partner is the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy, referred to as ARC. ARC is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that focuses on identifying and conserving priority amphibian and reptile conservation areas. They focus on dynamic conservation based on recovery, translocation, and restoration of species and ecosystems. Biodiversity is very important because it increases ecosystem resilience. Conservation efforts continue to transition away from single species conservation, which can leave out many important gap species we may not understand. Biodiversity also allows recovery from disturbance such as fire, flood, land use change, and development. Conservation focus on a single species risks putting resources into ecosystems that are too degraded to recover, which wastes limited money and time. Instead, conservation managers can maximize investment of money and time to conserve ecosystems where more than a single species can be saved, where ecosystems remain intact, and where threats are still manageable. To do this, managers require a framework to analyze vast ecological data and generate clear priorities. Scientifically rigorous methodologies can help conservation managers make effective decisions and conserve species and underlying ecosystem processes in the shadow of climate change and anthropogenic influences. The rationale behind this project is to provide ARC with conservation decision-making tools. These tools will provide a science-based assessment of the large-scale risks in the ARC Reserve Network to identify areas that face the highest and lowest amount of extrinsic threat. Identifying parkas that have the highest biodiversity and lowest extrinsic threat levels is an essential step to establish a nationwide conservation map. Prioritization of the parkas in their network will allow ARC and their affiliates to focus resources in places where application can make the most difference. Further, this project will support ARC in identifying the best parka to serve as true refuge, where species can be translocated when their ecosystem becomes too damaged to recover. The methods of this project are centered on identifying parkas and potential parkas. Once these are identified, they will be assessed for extrinsic threat levels. During the geospatial analysis, several different statistics will be calculated to assist with evaluating different threat criteria. Threat levels for each parka and potential parka will be established by evaluating three different criteria: the exposure criterion, the sensitivity criterion, and the adaptive capacity criterion. Each criterion is broken down into several smaller variables that will be assessed. If a score for one of the variables in a criterion is high, the parka would be ranked high for the entire criterion. Each variable will be assessed with three different spatial scales at 12,000 kilometers, 30,000 kilometers, and 60,000 kilometers. The exposure criterion will be evaluated by temperature change, anthropogenic change, and projected sea level change. The sensitivity criterion will be explored through the presence of federally recognized critical habitat, land protection status, whether the parka or its buffers are located on the edge of a biome, the presence of imperiled species, and the presence of invasive species. The adaptive capacity criterion will be established through the latitude range, connectivity, road density, elevation range, and land cover heterogeneity. The three criteria will allow a decision matrix to be created to assess the threat level of each parka, as well as grouping parkas by similar attributes will allow identification of parkas existing along the same temperature gradients to help identify areas best suited for establishing insurance populations by translocating species as their habitats become uninhabitable. The deliverables provided to ARC will include a final written report, ArcGIS Pro package. The ArcGIS Pro package, along with any geoprocessing models generated during this report, will be included as a file sent to ARC. If results are interesting, novel, or useful, I will assist ARC in publication. Thank you to Dr. JJ Apodaca, Jose Guardio, Dr. Jennifer Cole, and my family and friends to support during this project, and my audience for listening to my presentation today. I'm so excited for the culmination of this project to complete a broad-scale threat analysis for my partner, the Amphibian and Reptile Conservancy. Here's my literature cited.